All right, good evening, everyone. My name is Linda. I'm the president of the Simsbury Camera Club, and I am delighted to introduce to you one of our own club members, Bill Latournes, who will be speaking tonight on alternative software for photo editing. As many of you know, Bill is a respected leader in our club, having served as the vice president, organizer of the library lecture series, a competition judge, and the club's representative to the NECCC. Back in 2020, Lou Norton, another member, created a wonderful member recognition column praising Bill's capabilities and outstanding contributions to our club. Lou described Bill as a talented triple threat artisan, leveraging his professional background as a designer, drafter, and detailer. As such, Bill's many photos over the years feature imaginative images and an eye for details. Tonight, Bill will share with us some very interesting post-processing techniques and how he uses these techniques to create and refine his beautiful and imaginative images. Bill, we welcome you, and it's all yours.
Okay. 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 Well, I'm going to start off with going through Fastone Image Viewer. And what you see on the screen is when you open Fastone Image Viewer, what you would see is if you open it from any photos you have, I have it set up as my default. So when I download my pictures and I open them and want to go through them, that's what I automatically opens as Fastone Image Viewer. And what I like about it is basically a full screen image. When you open up some of the other editing software, you see about half the image or three-quarters of the image because the rest is taken up by all your icons and stuff. Most everything on here is hidden, but if you run your cursor over to the side, it'll give you information on your image right there. So you can tells you what kind of camera, shutter speed, f-stop, everything that we're normally looking for, as well as the lens and everything else on there. And that's just from putting it on either side, or you can have your editing screen show up on the left side or the right side. If you click over there, it comes up. It also comes up on the bottom of the screen. And I'll go through and show you what more of these are. And it also comes up on the top, also with a camera roll of all the images here that you have. And what also tells you is on the top how many images you had. So what I've been doing more of lately is going to my grandchildren's sports events, from field hockey to softball to baseball to ice hockey. My grandson is a junior playing hockey for the Farmington Valley uh, Co-op League, which makes up Farmington and I believe East Granby and Windsor. So he's been playing for that. So I go there and I take pictures. And this one I went and I took 522 images. I have my camera set on burst mode. It probably does about 9 shots a second, which is great for doing burst and catching the action. And so I'm just going to start showing you some of the stuff. I usually come over here to the side and start with that. You can switch to browser view, which goes back to another screen. You can set up slideshow, where you just click on that and say how much time you want in between, from 4 seconds, and it'll autoplay and it just keeps on going through. So if you get through doing a bunch of images and you get that 522 images down to say about 40, which I usually end up doing by the time I'm done, ones that I consider worth saving, and you want to show them to somebody, you can just hit that and it'll automatically go through it for them. So it's very good for doing that as well. And what it does, all my images are shot in RAW, but whenever you save anything in this software, it automatically saves it as a JPEG, which does make it convenient because it also makes the size smaller. Most of my images from using my camera come out to be about 30 meg. So you can't do much with sending 30 meg pictures to anybody because they're too big. You can't email them, it can't usually attach them to anything. So that's why I kind of go through and I save them as JPEGs, just make them easier to handle. And so you can open them, you can do save as. You can see my cursor is over there. Does everybody see that? And any questions, you can stop me at any time. I do not mind interruptions at all. And you can also set up wallpaper with your images. If you want to put them on your desktop, say you got an image, you want to do that. And you can edit with external programs. So if you have Photoshop or any other software that you have, you can switch to that. You can go between the programs, which is common with most software. And as Frank noted, this software works on Microsoft products, does not work on Apple products. At least I haven't seen it, but I didn't go look for that. I have never used an Apple, so not familiar with it. But you can also go and get open a folder containing stuff and go get it. And you can see there's edit on here, colors, and if you put your cursor on it, you can rotate them right, left, horizontally, vertically, do any of them things that we normally always do. Very, very easy to do. And I do not use too many hotkeys, but I do know a few, and one of the best ones you can do is Control Z, which is undo, which is great for anything in the software. So if you do any changes and you don't like it, you can just right click, do a Control Z and undo that, or you can just undo it. There's a one on there for that as well. So you can rotate them, but there's also the straighten icon. And I'll give a little demonstration of that. You can resize them to reduce the size of them, and you can crop them, clone and heal. It is not the best one in the world, but it does an all right job. And then if you have a lot of photos with people and you want to do some red eye removal, that's on there as well. And colors, you can do your normal auto adjust colors, which I hardly ever use, but sometimes you just click it and you let it do its thing, and you see it just brightened it up. And you say, oh, well, that was good. So, but usually you say, well, that's not quite what I wanted. So you just go back and you can undo that. And the same thing with the colors. You can adjust your colors if you want in there, the reds, the greens, the blues, brightness, contrast, all that. And like anything, you can get them as screwed up as you wanted, but it doesn't really matter what you do because all you have to do is come over here and you can hold down and see the original and just hit cancel and it goes right back to what it was. So you're not damaging your images at all by doing any of that stuff. But if you do make any changes to it and you want to go to the next one, it's going to ask you to save it. So that's some of the features that are in there, as well as you can do some sharpening, reduce some noise. It is not the best noise reduction software out there. A lot of people have other noise reduction software that does a lot more. And you can reduce the amount of colors. You can go to grayscale if you want to make it black and white by just one click right there. So very good for doing some of that. And again, I'll just do our Control Z. We'll bring it back to the way it was. And so that's some of what it has in there, as well as sepia tone. Then you can even do a negative, if you want to take and totally reverse it the other way. You do that once in a great while. It might find something that looks totally different that you might like to use, not normally a normal one to use. And then it even has some effects over here, like border effects, if you want to put a little border around. We'll do that. We'll show you more on that later. A frame mask, which I usually never do because we don't put frames around our pictures normally. It's not allowed for competition. And you can put watermarks, and if you enter, put your watermark on there, it looks great, but your image will be disqualified if you send it in with that on there. I think most of us are used to that. The bump match, you can change it to sketch, oil painting, and then there's some lenses in there to change the color. So that's basically what some of that does on there. And navigate to, you can go back or go back to your first image, or you can go to the last image, next one, but you can just also come down to the bottom and you see the little arrow down there. If you hit the arrow, it goes to the next image. So that's kind of what it does there. And what's interesting about these images here, if you notice, this one here started with image number one. Usually when you're taking images of your camera, and I don't know how big of a card you have, I use cards that are 128. So it probably holds close to 1,500 images in there. So I happened to be shooting this one, and my card ran out at the end. So when you put a new card and you format it, it goes back to one. So the first image you open up is number one. So we're actually halfway through this game when I had to swap out the card, which you can swap out very easy if you're used to doing that. And usually when I go shooting anything, I bring a card with me, extra card, a cloth, a brush, and a couple batteries. I travel kind of light for these because that's all I bring. I do not bring a camera bag or anything. And so that's what I do. Everybody else has their own technique, but just to throw in some of the stuff I do. So then under the effects there, I showed you them already there. And then copy to folder, I'll get you a little more on that later. Move to folder, you can actually move it out of this folder to another one. You can email them, you can print them, and all that. You can delete your images right here as well. And there happens to be another, just use your delete key on the computer. You hit it, you can delete images very easy. So when you go through and you see your real crummy ones, you can just delete them. And you can also see your histogram as well by picking that off the side there. And you show it, okay, there's the history. The other one go, okay, file properties. You can get more information on your images, and it will show you over here the date it was created, the date it was modified, the date it was accessed. So you can see I shot these back in Friday and February 7th. So that's when I actually went to that game. So that just shows you some of the capabilities in there, but on the properties, you can also get more. Let me move this one away from here. Yeah, so, okay. You can get more details on yours as well as what you saw before. Size of the file, 34 megabytes. You know, so everything that most all software will show you all the same data. So it has all
Excuse
that
me, Bill.
normal stuff. Yes.
Bill, it's Bob Ferranti. In the last few, what you're showing me right now is all grayed out. I don't see
Oh, yeah.
the detail that you're showing. It just shows me a hatched gray patch.
Oh,
So
I don't know
before
why
when you
that
were
is.
showing, so the last three or four times you clicked on something, right now it's all gray and
Oh,
I don't
yeah.
see any information. Does anybody else see the gray?
I see the gray.
Okay.
Okay. So
Yeah,
I don't know what's causing that,
if you're
if it's
just,
tied in with the presentation or the software or what. Now, when I click on the side, can you see that? Or is that
Yes.
all grayed out?
No,
No,
Okay.
that, I
that's
see that,
good.
Bill.
That's good.
Okay. So anyways, it has the file properties, which most of them have, and most of you, I think, know how to find that uh on your camera or on any other software you're using. Most of them all will show you that information. But so so anyway, so this is what it is. So I shot all these images. So what I do is if I just you can use your arrows on your keyboard to go through them. And I just go through fast. Normally it goes pretty fast. Maybe because we're doing this under a Zoom, it's not going as fast, but you can just go through, like you can see, there's the puck going in the air there, but again, I don't like this image because I cut the goalie up, but it's a good image showing there it goes, and I don't think it went in the net. I think maybe it did. Oh, so that actually was a goal. So going through, you can see the guy shot it, and then we got, in which you can also, okay, there's another little thing. If you click on your image and you see the little magnifying glass, when you wait, I see somebody type something in there. Okay. So anyways, you can see it, but if you click on it, you can zoom in and get a close up. So if you're going through the image, you want to look at the guy's face, like I see this one here, to me, that's not that good of a image when you zoom in on it, because if you zoom in, it's nice and clear, that's great, but these are also, I think you'd see that they're shot at 500th of a second for them, so, but I'm going to continue going through, so you can see that that's scored the goal there, so then another thing I do for another hotkey, if I want to crop it, I can go to X, and X brings up my crop screen, and you can change the size of all these. You have your standard 6x4, and also your 7x4, which is good for some of these, and an 8x10 or 4x10. If you want to, get a whole bunch of people one shot for some of these sporting events, or your 8x10. And you can change it from horizontal to be vertical, either one, by just clicking on flip the ratio. So for this one, I'm just going to crop it a little bit and go to 7x4. I think that'll give us a decent one here. So I didn't cut anybody off. I can just bring it up a little bit and over, go back a little. I don't like that white light behind there. So you can clean it up a little bit and say, and you can go back and say, you can just crop it, crop it for you. If you see in the background, you see the boards up there. So if that was really crooked and you wanted to straighten it out, you can come down here to your straighten and rotate. And you can see this one here doesn't need any straightening, but you see it brought up the little pencil. And if you just drag it across, it'll automatically just snap to that. So it moved at 0.01, but that's not even enough to be noticeable. So say I like this image, okay, that was a good one. You can see the pucks in the goal there. So when I click go to the next image, do you want to save this image? And you're going to hit yes, and you can notice it's saving it as a JPEG. You can also pick a bunch of other formats. I just save it as a JPEG. And that's most everything that we want to submit to the club, we do as a JPEG, and it's kind of one of the universal ones for if you're going to send them to people. So you can just hit save, and it'll take a few seconds, and it should save it, and then it just goes to the next image. So I'm just going to start going through some of these, and we'll see if we can. So I see one here, and I'm just going to show you that one more there of taking and edit, straighten, and I'm just going to drag it across here again and say, okay. So it straightened it out for me. So then you can do that. Then if you want to crop it, you can crop it and keep going. And if you didn't like it, you just can do a Control Z, so it's not going to save it. So I'm just going to go through some more of these here, and we'll see. So you can see here's like for cropping this one, you might find that the 4x10 is better. So usually that gives you a totally different look at that, better. So if you're going to clean them up and you want to send them out to somebody, that I think that looks better than the other one there. And I'll do my Control Z. So if I sat there and I did these 522 images that I'm going through it at night, sitting in my living room at the coffee table, sitting on the couch going through these, I can probably go through in about 2.5 hours. And I usually end up getting 50 to 60 images I thought were good that I wanted to save. And so after I get through doing all that, I can just, keep going and see what we got there. So that gives you some of the ideas for what you can do with it. So that's a lot of this stuff, and this is towards the end of the game. Oh, and I actually got one of my grandson here. So there you go. So he made it into the game towards the end. So I usually take all the ones of him and I make sure I go through and do my things I just showed you. For any of these, I automatically just straighten them. Just habit, because to me, that's one of the most notable thing. If it's crooked, so I'll do that, and then I'm going to crop this, and I'll use a 4x6. And as you use this software more, you get used to knowing what the picks are there. But in general, I don't do a lot of other stuff to these. And you can see that that didn't degrade too much even when I cropped it. So that would have been a good one to use. White balance. Oh, let's see. Good question. You can change your colors. I don't think it has automatic white balance adjustment, but you can go to your lighting over here. So what you can do is you want to turn up your highlights a little bit because that does look a little dark. A lot of these images, when you're shooting at these hockey arenas, a lot of them are fluorescent lighting. I use a low light optimizer on my camera when I shoot. That's probably the only extra thing I use for a setting on there. And I just use a 500 shutter speed and also, get as many shots as I can. But you can turn up the highlights, you can turn up the contrast a little bit. And a lot of these you only want to do a little bit. Dick Clark used to do a lot of training seminars before, and one of his favorite lines was, "A little is better than too much." So if you do too much, you might not like it. If you turn up the highlights all the way, it gets too blown out, so you'll know. So you bring it back down. You can either take the slider and do it, or you can just put in, if you want to put in 15, and you can see, yeah, that looked pretty good, but let's say try 10. Is that good? How about 20? So you can put in what you think you want to make it look good. So that's a couple examples there. So we leveled it, we cropped it, we brightened it up a little bit, and I will show you something later on in the software that it will do where you can do a whole batch at one time and resize them. And you can also apply highlights to every image in the whole group if you want, and brighten them all up at the same time. So that's some of the examples there. So I'm going to get out of all that. So it's back to where it was. So it just shows you a few things there for that. And let's see. And then sometimes you get your zebras in the way. I mean, the referees in the way. So, but you can see we're always looking to chase the puck, and the idea is to get the puck in the air going into the goal. But the ultimate one is get it coming off the guy's stick, going into the goal. So that's what we do. We try for anyway. So on all these. So that covers some of that. And I'm going to go. So you can take your slider up here and slide over, and you can come up and pick an image. So got to the game, the first image I shot was just one of these hockey pucks here. All right, they set them up there nicely, and I said, well, let's see. So I did one, whoop, zoomed in, and you can see writing on these and some other detail and stuff. So let's see the first one. First one's not as good. I probably changed my setting. And what are we looking at here? Okay. 1/25th of a second. So then I must have went and change that to, oh, and you guys see that all graded. I probably went to a 60th of a second so you can see more detail. So I did the same thing with this. I'm just going to do a quick little edit on this one. And I always do my same thing for making it level, just because I don't know, a lot of us kind of do the same things all the time on pictures. We're doing something like this, just as a quick one. So we'll make it level, we'll give it a quick crop, just a little bit. And if you go, well, I want to even do something a little more different, you can do freehand, which tells you you don't know what size you got, but we'll come up here and just do that quickly. And so then you can crop that, say, okay, that looks a lot better. Not a great, beautiful image or anything, but you're sending them out to people that you're sending all these pictures from, because sometimes I have uploaded them on their website for the team. And you put 30 or 40 images up there. This is a good starting image. And again, I would do my colors, I adjust my lighting. And this is normally what I do. I adjust the lighting. I do not do too many adjusting of colors or adjusting of the levels on too many pictures at all, outside of maybe something I'm going to send into the club when you sit there and you mess around and you try different things. So here, if we turn up the shadows, you'll see, so now that made it a lot brighter. You can see if that was too bright. Again, when you go too much, it's no good. And we'll turn down the highlights a little bit. And we'll turn up the contrast. And we'll do the saturation a little. So now you can see more detail in the pucks. And that's all I was trying to show. So you took and you went from what the original was, and we hold it down. You can see the background has changed a little bit and it brightened it up a little bit. So that's just an example of what you can do with some of it. Okay, let's see what else we got. What are we? Oh, what are we doing? So they're out there warming up on the ice. We're just seeing what we can get. So I'm just going to zoom over here and see what else we can get in here. Something that might look like a decent shot. But I think I'm going to skip the rest of the hockey game. And we're going to go to another one for that same game. Oh, what happened? Oh, I see. Okay.
Hey, Bill, when you
I'm
were
gonna go.
sharing, are you sharing your whole screen or were you sharing a program
Must have been the program. So I want to switch that to the,
to your desktop?
okay. Now I see what I'm doing. I said I hadn't did this in a long time. Yep. Where did it go? Here it is. So where is that, Frank? Let's see.
So if you go through and share your screen,
Yeah,
and then when one of the options come up, it should say desktop. It's usually
I see it.
the first one.
I see screens. I see documents. I see entire screen.
Entire
That's
screen.
what I had it on. I don't see desktop.
Entire screen.
Okay.
And then
So
go
now
back
you,
to your program. There you go.
okay.
They're still grayed out though.
Oh, yeah. The whole thing is?
No, parts
Oh,
of your screen are grayed out.
oh, okay. I don't know why. Maybe that's a setting in there or something. Let's see. And to be honest, I have not did this screen sharing in years. So let me see here. Open it. Oops. Okay. Let me go back to my. You don't see anything yet?
No, we are seeing that. We just see parts of your screen are grayed out.
Oh, okay. So what I did here was I went back. So I went back to that original one that all the images came from. And what I did was I saved them off as JPEGs. And when you do that, I ended up with like 24 images that I thought were worthwhile ones to send off to people. So, but what I was going to point out here was if I go back, let's see. Uh-oh. Well, so I have these images here. These are the images that I like. So I've cropped them, cleaned them all up, and you can see that one with the puck in the air actually made it. And people like that because you saw the first image with the guy skating in with the stick with the puck. This guy, he took the shot. The next image was the puck in the air. The next image was the puck behind the goalie. And here's another one, the guy shooting at it's going at the goalie. So he obviously he did not save that either because you can see it in the net where my cursor is there. So they scored another goal. Here's another one of the guys shooting the puck again. You got the puck in the air, and there it is with the heading towards the goalie. And just some more action shots, the more he made a save that time. So there's only 24 here, so we're going to go through them, and I'm looking for different shots where I can see the guy's face pretty clear stuff. So all these were edited in that software only, did not use anything else for this. And I thought this was like a cool action shot. You got two guys falling down, some other guys hanging around there, plus the goalie. What's missing is I don't see the puck anywhere because you want to see the puck in the shot. And there's another one where the puck is going in the goal. Then we got a face off, and all these are taken from the side of the rink through the glass windows as well. And if you've been to hockey arenas, you know what the glass looks like there. It's usually pretty well beat up. So I go take them. But if you go to Avon Old Farms, which is their home rink, they have one area where they are shooting videos up there. So I asked if I go up there. I went up there and you're looking down on the game on that one area. So it makes for some better shot. So, and that's probably where this was taken from up there. So for one period, you go up there and you take them. And I always try to get where his team is shooting the puck and scoring some goals. So I think this was the game that they won 7-1. So um, I don't think they have a winning record, but they have had a few winning games where they had scored quite a few, lost quite a few close ones, 2-1, and they did make it to the playoffs, which start next week. So that's an example of what I do with it. And then if I go back over here, I took all these images and I'm going to close this down. Now, are these all grayed in when you see these images here? Or you're only seeing part of it?
No, we
No.
can see the images.
Okay. So there's some filters up top. And if you up top in this this is on my home folders that I have, but you can change your view to large icons, and smaller icons and stuff like that. Whoops, I hit something there. Not what I wanted. Out of that. I'm getting stuck behind me. Oh. I'm sorry, that was my fault. Okay. So you can sort. And what I do is I sort by type. And when I pick type, it's going to put my raw images, it saves as CR2. And my other images, it saves them as a JPEG. I'm going to go to the large one here. So we'll put all the JPEGs on the bottom. And the JPEG ones are the red ones, where the other ones are have the green on it. But I can pick all the JPEGs, pick one, highlight all the rest, pick them. I can copy them and paste them into a folder. And that's what this JPEG folder was up here. So that's what I did with all the images. I copy them in there. And then I went to there's another folder up there. And I call this one here, the hockey game with the date. And I call them JPGSs for JPEGs and CP for compressed. So the difference is I ran them to the software and it compressed the images so that the size of this image is like 868 kilobytes. So now I can take an email, I can hook all these images to one email and send them to somebody if I want. So that's what I do with them. And we're going to go to that software over there. We're going to get out of this. Go, open that up. And so here's the Faststone image viewer. And so right here, this is good for converting the size of these images to reduce the size of them. And up top, you can see we have edit, colors, a lot of that same stuff we saw before. You can adjust on the little image you see here. And effects, the view, you can do full screen, or you can do your little icons there, favorites. You can create your slideshow, but then you have tools. So what I use a lot is this tool, batch convert selected images. So I can select that, and it took all them images, and they're all JPEGs that you see here. And you can see the size of them. They're 1 megapixel, 2 megabytes, 3 megabytes, because I took them all that were 30 and I cropped them down so it reduced the size. And now you see over here on my cursor is on the right, you see one image there. I'm going to clear that. And I'm going to pick these, highlight all the other images. I'm going to add them. And when I add them, it's going to put them all over there. And now, if I look down below, it's doing the same thing. It's going to keep them a JPEG. And then I see our output folder. So it will go to the last folder you use. So I'm going to pick browse. And I'm going to put them into a different folder. And I store all my images. This is my desktop. I do not store any images on my computer, very few outside of ones I have on my background on my computer. I keep them all on an external hard drive. It's a 5 terabyte hard drive. And I had the last 3 years on there. And as I finish up the year, I move them back to a folder 2024. And I also have all my SCC folders up there for the last 4 years. So, and the reason I'm mentioning that is because I'm going to show you I can move images to them if I want. So I come down here and I find where this was. We had our demo folder here for the demo. Let's see, is the right one. Actually, I'm going to put them in the hockey game one. And that was 4-1-1-4. And my camera, when I do the folders, it automatically goes by year, month, and date. So that's what I do with them. So I'm going to pick over here the JPEG folder, but I'm going to pick this one. But then I see down below it says create a new folder. So I went to this one. I'm going to create a folder and I'm going to call it JPGS CP because it's going to compress them. And it's also going to, and change the size. So they're going to go there. And I'm also going to add a -1 after every image. So it keeps it different than the original one, even though it's a separate size and everything. Otherwise, if you put them in the same folder, you have a hard time telling them apart. but you also have advanced options over here. And when you pick that, you can crop, rotate, make some adjustments. You can change your brightness on all these. So we can go up and we can say, let's brighten all these images up. I'll take them up to 15. A little bit of contrast on here, we'll go to 10. So you can do all that at one time. We'll add a little saturation, not too much. So then when you get all done, you say, okay. So we're going to hit convert. And you can see it does these pretty fast. We have, I think there was 25 there. So it doesn't take too long to do that. So you can see system motion, okay. Oh, says we've got a lot of stuff open, so it's slowing down. Okay. So it put them in this folder. So here's the new folder right here. And if I click on it, it'll open. So it does compress it a little bit on the screen. It brightened them up a little bit and add a little saturation and stuff to every image. So if you're sending them out, just want to brighten them up a little bit because you thought they were dark, you can do that. So that's an example of what some of this software will do, what I use it for. I'm going to get back out of that one and get out of this. And I'm going to go back to my folder here. And I have one more little one here. So, see if I got the right one. Just bear with me. We're just trying to open this up. Okay. Wrong one. This one. So that was what that software will basically do for you. If anybody wanted to see more, I have another little demo I'm going to show you. I happen to be.
Hey, Bill, I have a question for you, Bob
Yes.
again. So you're showing us a lot of compression there. How are you losing image quality, or does it do a pretty good job with the compression?
Does a pretty good job because most people you're sending these pictures to, they're going to open them up with their cell phone.
Yeah.
So when you open it on your cell phone, they would really not notice it too much at all.
Okay.
So from what I've seen, I've never gotten any complaints on them because of that. And I've even sent some into the club. They're about what we used to do for the club was about the size that they're being compressed to. Because what I didn't show you there was when you pick that size on them, you can also resize them. And the size I happened to pick was the old 780 height on there for the size. And that's what we used to send into the club before it went to 1,050 by 1,400. So that's what I did for a lot. And I kept it at them same sizes because they seem to work pretty good. And I have sent some of these even to the coaches for the field hockey team and the baseball team. And they took them images that I sent and they did a presentation at the end of the year. They were projecting onto a screen and they used them same images I just showed you after the compressed to project onto a screen. So they were all pretty happy with that.
Okay,
So,
good.
so
Thanks, Bill.
yeah, so you do not lose much at all in my mind for that. So about 3 or 4 weeks ago, let me click here and see what it tells me about this image here. Hold on. When I took this image. Oh, February 14th. So it happened to be Valentine's Day. So we were at a restaurant in Infield and we were sitting there and there was a little group of about 12 people sitting at a table. And we noticed was a bride and a groom and some people that are in a wedding party and the parents and some friends and stuff. So not a big group and they were sitting there. We couldn't find out they went to the town hall and got married. And they went to this restaurant afterwards. And it was Jimmy's Pizza in Enfield, right on Route 5. So we would just have to be sitting there. We noticed that. So he says, why don't you go over and see if they had a photographer take some pictures of that? So I walked over and asked, and he said, no, they did not. And I says, well, I can take some pictures of you if you would like. I have my camera in the car. I will get it. And she goes, well, we can't pay you or anything. I said, I don't want any money. I just will want to take some pictures so you can have some. So I went through and I think I took about 70 pictures in all of 15 or 20 minutes, just in the back of the restaurant. So there's nothing fancy at all or anything. And so that's what I did. But then I took these images and I'll go through them and just show you here. So let's change. Oh. So you can see I just took some of them. And you look at it and say, well, that's not a good background or anything, for that. But so what I did was I took them and I said, well, I'm going to clean them up in this software here. So the first thing I did was my normal, this one here, I don't think I did anything for the straightening, but if anything, I would pick that bench up there and just go across. And didn't change anything. So I said, well, let me just crop a little bit. Uh,
Bill, I
easier
just
if I
wanted
could-
to tell you, this is very nice of you to do these photos for these people. I'm sure they really appreciated it.
Well, they did.
Yeah,
I
what a
came
nice
home
thing
at
to
that.
do. Yeah.
I have did this 3 or 4 times over the years. I was
Yeah.
down at Washington Park in Windsor one time, walking around the pond, taking pictures of butterflies and dragonflies and anything else I can get with my camera and the tripod and the macro lens. And I saw a wedding going on over there with some people. There's probably 75 people. Don't know any of them at all. Walked over and said, do you have a photographer taking pictures? And they said, no, we didn't. We don't have anybody who would take them with our cell phone. I said, if you'd like, I will take some pictures for you. And this was 7 or 8 years ago. I did the same thing. So I probably went and took, 100 pictures and all over the park and everything. It's a nice little park in town, down in the center. If someone doesn't tell you about it, you wouldn't even know it's there. I'm sure Bob knows where it is. And so I went down there and I took them pictures and sent them to them. And they loved it. So that's some of I have did that before. I don't mind doing it all. I enjoy doing it, and I don't even have my flash with me or anything. So I just go take them just to help these people out. And so I'm just going to do a little crop. That's great. I can't get the hold on. Okay. I can't pick the top because it's off the screen here. Underneath our audio and everything on top. So I'm just going to do this a little bit here. So the first thing I do is I did a crop and I said, okay, I'm going to go in and I'll show you how to do some cloning. Now, and I come down to the bottom of the screen and we have the same thing. And what you can also do on here is, like I showed you, you can click on and zoom in. And again, these were not the greatest quality because there's no flash, no nothing, but what they were looking for, they thought they were fantastic. So you can come down to the bottom down here and you can pick the clone stamp. And it looks like the little alien. Clone and heal. So when you put your cursor over it, it tells you what any of these are. So you can, that same adjust lighting you can get. You can do your clone and heal. You can rotate them and do all that stuff. So I am going to do that. So what you do is it zooms in automatically for you, but you can take and slide it up and we'll change the size. You can come up to the top. You can see the little circle running around. That's the size of your clone tool, which is common in most softwares. So we're going to come up here and we got these few here. Let's see, we're going to go a little bit bigger. I just typed in 50. I believe it only goes to 50. Yeah. So we're going to take and come over here. Okay. So you pick an area. Oh, and it's control click where the others. For Photoshop is Alt click, so you do Control click, pick an area you want. So I just did a little bit of cleanup there for you. And you can also, it jumped up to 500 up top there, so you can zoom down. We don't need to be at 500, but we can use our slider and slide over. And we got this beautiful cable here. So we're going to take and get rid of that as well. Now, see how it messed up down? I can do my Control Z and go, oh, let me try that again. And it goes by where you pick your editor. If you picked over here, it's going to put white over there. So you want to make sure you pick from the right side of what you're trying to do on there. So then you can clean it up. I'm not going to clean this all up perfect, but it gives you an example. Then you can come up top here again and we can go to 1:1 full size. Let's go zoom down. So it cleaned up some of that stuff, and we can come over here and get rid of a little bit more. And we can even go over here and we'll make this bigger again. So you can see it cleans it up. I'm not going to go through and do the whole thing, but it gives you the idea of doing that. But then you can also get your full screen preview. So I would go in and get rid of this door over here. I got rid of the knob. I cleaned all that stuff up just to clean up the image for that. And then, so then oh, we're still back at it. Okay, I'm going to say, okay, it finished it. And it's going to come up and say, what do you want to do with this image? Yeah, we're going to save it. And it was already done as a JPEG because it saved it as a JPEG because up top it was a saved, came in from the camera as raw. So we got more and I went through and I cleaned them all up. I probably did 30 images, cleaned them all up for them. And they were happy. It just shows you some of the examples. They're like, here's another one. And if you pick this one to say, I want to go clean up a little bit, we're going to zoom up top a little here and just do that same thing. So it does a decent job of cleaning up some of this stuff without going crazy. So that's an example of what it does. It's not as good as Photoshop or Photoshop Elements for doing it, but for quick, fast cleanup, for doing stuff, it works pretty good. So that's what I do with a lot of my images. I edit from sporting events and things of that. And the same thing with the image. If you want to come over here and say, okay, I finished doing all my editing. Usually you do your editing, you adjust the colors, you adjust everything. And we're going to sharpen a little bit. So we're going to go look at her. So you can see it's rather grainy by a lot. So you can see that went too far. So we're going to bring it down a little bit. Change that a little bit. And that's not good at all. So we're going to bring it down. Remember, a little bit is better than a lot. So you do that. It'll clean it up a little bit. And if you ran it through that conversion one, you could change them settings at the same time and clean it up. So we'll come down and we'll do one more edit here. We're going to reduce the noise. And that's what a lot of that is. It looks like noise in there. So we're going to get rid of some noise. And you can see it didn't do a lot, but we'll hit that. It cleans it up. So that covers a lot of what this software will do. And I think I covered everything I had on my list. And like any of these things, if you're in here and you're going through the images and you don't like, you want to get rid of the image, hit the delete key, hit enter, it'll delete it and just go to the next one. So if you're going through them, you can just go real fast, delete, and you can get rid of them all very easily in the software. So that gives you some of what it does. And some other options that are up there that I use. As you can see, with all the options in there, I don't use a ton of them. I don't do a real lot of editing to images when I go do sports things. I try to keep it fast and do it. If I'm going to send it into the club and use one of them images, I am going to probably crop it in this tool. And then I'm going to open up in Photoshop and edit it, or I'm going to edit it in Pixio, which is the next software we're going to show you. And I think I covered most of it in there, unless anybody had any questions or anything, because you can zoom in on any image here, or you can go 100, you can just click on the side and pick what you want for a zoom, or best fit, it's full screen. So you have all them options, but if you want to look at people's faces, that's what the zoom is good for. You come over here and you click on it. And that's where when you're doing portraits and you do all them and you took them with your lighting and your background and you want to focus on the people's eyes, when you first bring them in, go look right at them eyes and say, how are the eyes? Because in a portrait, that's what you want. And if you're judging portraits, that's only what you're looking for is the eyes. Not everyone, but probably 90% of them images. And this is my opinion, but I think most judges might agree with me on that for them, as well as the quality of the image. But so that's what it does cover. I don't do anything like shipping them off through the internet through here. I will go open up my Internet Explorer and I'll compose an email and upload them into that after I compress them. So that's what I do with a lot of them. And then that's covers most all of it, right? I don't think I've missed anything. And if you want to do these settings, so you can do an oil painting, if you wanted, and see what it looks like. It changed a little bit, not much. But you can always do your Control Z, and you can say, oh, let me go back in and is there another one I want to use here? Where did that go? Oh, well, we can do this sketch one. Make it like a sketch. Okay. See what that is. So yeah, that's good for some images, but not obviously not this one. So my favorite friend in here is my Control Z. You can do anything you want and you're not hurting the image and messing up anything at all. And I think that's true with just about all these softwares. You can undo just about everything at some point in time. So I think that covers a lot of that. And I see bump map. I'm not sure what a bump map is. Oh, there it is. It looks about as funky as the other thing did. So you can see, yeah, that really helped a lot. Yeah. So I'm just kind of messing around here, showing you what some of this stuff is. How you might never use some of this stuff at all. But if you want to put a border around it, you can pick your width, and if you're going to do it, you want a real small one. We want 1 or 2 strokes. And it just did it. We'll go over here to, let's do our, make it fit. So put a little white border around, which is adequate if you have the black against the black on the display. If you're sending into the camera club, it just adds that little border for you. And I think that meets the camera club criteria for a border because it's a stroke basically. So I'm not putting in a whole frame or any of that stuff. If you wanted that, that's on there for the frame mask and all that, where you can put hearts on and everything else, which I don't think I've ever used that in the 20 years I've been doing anything for that. Just don't, kind of old fashioned, don't put any of that stuff on my images anyway, so. So that's some of the ideas for what it will do. You know, basic lighting and stuff like that, as well as some sharpening and noise reduction and cropping and rotating. So that's what I do with it. Okay, any questions? Did I bore you enough? Good, no comments, okay. So we're gonna go on to in Pixio. I already have the icon open. Now, for the Fastone image viewer, I have another screen open afterwards. I will show you that it's a free download or it's like $20 or $39. I think I saw. I just did a Google search on it before I started the meeting, and I did it yesterday as well, just to make sure I was giving out the right information. Now, the other one I'm going to show you is Fastone, not Fastone, I mean in Pixio photo editor, which I have on my screen over here as a icon. I don't know if you can see my icons or not, but it's right down there. Photo Studio editor, that's in Pixio. So, okay, so there that is. Now I have some images set up. I'm going to show you how to do some basic editing in Pixio. And it's a totally different software than Fastone. So I'm going to start with this image here. I had entered this into the club probably a few years ago. Now, this is before it was edited. It was actually a morning glory I found and took it with a tripod, with rear view on the camera at a 15th of a second, and the f4 at ISO 100, a bright sunny day. And it's actually 5 images where I focus from the top to the bottom and to get it all in focus. And then I took them and merged them in Pelican focus stacking. So you can stack all 5 of them on top of each other and get them in focus throughout the image. And you can see the water droplets are pretty good from the top all the way to the bottom. And that light that you see inside there, that's the way it was when I took the image. So this is what I started with for this. And if I come back over here, go back. So that's what I started with. This is what I ended with. And that's what I'm going to try to show you in software that we're going to come up with when I'm done. The steps I did to do that. So, okay, here we are. So you can see, let me move this out of the way. So this software here is entirely different than the last one, but you have options up top. You could do photomontage. Not too good at saying that. Photomontage, yeah. So you can do them, which I don't do much of that again, but you can add things on and do a bunch of different things if you want with it. I don't think I've ever used it myself, but so the icons are here and you can run your cursor over and it shows you what it is. And the next one over here is remove objects. So when you click on it, it opens up and you can just go edit the image and it'll go around and do what you want. I'm going to skip that part for now and show you something else because the next step is background. You can replace the background automatically. And we'll come down to the next one that is sky. So you can replace the sky in the image. And as you see, there's maybe only 12 of these little icons over here to use. So there's not a ton. Crop. And you can do your normal crop that you see, the normal sizes, or you can do custom sizes. So if you want to do that, you can change it over here and drag this in over here. We'll make this a nice square one. No size in particular, and we'll just say, let's do that. Okay. And the next one is selective retouching. You can do our gradient around stuff. The paintbrush, linear gradient, the things that we've seen in other ones where you can change it top to bottom or do a locally zoned area. We'll do a little bit of that afterwards on the same image. You can do red eye correction, sharpness, and it does a pretty good job on sharpness in the image, noise reduction, dehaze, perspective. I'm not going to demo that, but it does a decent job on that too. You can see the image there doing that. So that's what you can do by it basically tilts your image so you can do that. And then it has some color balance, creative blur. If you wanted to add grain, vignetting around the outside to make it dark or light, whatever you like. And then we're going to come to the next one down here. And it has some styles in there from atmosphere, which I don't know what atmosphere is, but it looks like these. If you pick on them, we'll change them. So you can pick different ones. You can go to black and white if you want. You can do any of that. Film, nature. So you can pick almost any of these, whatever you think you like, if you like it. If you don't like it, don't use it. Then you have a good old revert to the original up here. It undoes everything that you did. So that crop I did, it took out any changes I made to the colors. It took that out in one shot. And then you can do textures. I do not use any of these textures because we're not allowed to use other people's textures over our images. But if you had some things that you took pictures of textures of, I'm sure you can add them over the image. I just don't do too much of that once in a great while. But they do have a bunch of them in there if you want to mess around with them. But again, I don't use them for that, especially so for that. And again, if you want to put frames around your images, it has all that. So you can make them look like old-fashioned ones, whatever you think you like, make them look painted and different things. And the metadata on your image, you can see it tells you what camera you're using, the millimeter, the f-stop, 15th of a second, ISO of 100. And the data was taken back in October 6, 2023, so a few years ago. So that covers what the icons mean. And that's basically what your icons are up here for this. On this, so that's what it is. And the beaker, it just shows you the same things for presets. So, which I don't use too much either. So I'm going to go back up again. I'm going to crop this image. I get to my crop tool. There we go. I'll do that first. Oh, I don't like that. Must have took one of the other ones I had there. Okay. So we're going to come up here, we're going to replace the background. And I'm going to do replace automatically, and you see our little friend AI on there. Or you can do replace manually, decide yourself what areas you want to keep. I usually do the automatic one. And let's see what it picks up. So, did a nice job on the flower. Outside of up here in the upper left, you can see it went around that. So what I'm going to do is, instead of continue, I'm going to cancel. So I'm going to go back to where I was. I'm going to use our friendly erase tool up here, remove objects. And what I found out is if you zoom in ahead of time, it's going to go back to the full screen when you hit to edit. So you hit edit and then pick your zoom. And it's the same thing. You got the little slider on the side. We're going to slide up. We're going to slide over. And this one you just go erase. Say erase. So I didn't like that. It picked up the purple from there. And what I'm missing up here is because of the meeting one up top here, it's over my edit one. There's a undo. Control Z does not work in this software. So there's one edit for just going back one. Stop video. No, that's oh. So it's underneath there. Let me see. Oh, I'm just going to continue erasing. I'm not going to go through and do a beautiful job here because I would zoom in and go across here and clean this up a real lot. And I'm not going to do that. But I can come back over here and hit my full screen. And now it wants to save as a copy. So when I hit that, it's going to come up. And up top, you can't see it. There's a save up there. And it's going to save this. But it's going to put, so this whole image, and I had a naming convention up there. And that 4L3 A1914. That was the first image. I did comma 15, 16, 17, 18. And then inside of our Herculon focus stacker, there's three methods. I did method A, B, and C. So it took all 5 of them images, did 3 different methods, then I stacked them 3 on top of each other as well to come up with it. Say that it's method A, B, and C, and I just call this one -5. It saved it with erase. As I went in, I erased off of there. So if I go look at my file folder, I will see the original image, just as a -5. I'll see we did here as an erase. So if you don't like it, you can get out and come back in and open up the original one. So I did my edit there. I'm going to go back over here. And I'm going to pick my background again. And replace automatically. And I'm going to disregard the upper top corner there. And it's 3PX. It's kind of smoothing around the edge. I'm going to bring it down to 1. So it cleans it up. You can make it a lot rougher or whatever you like on there. So I'm going to hit continue. Now, it automatically went to the background. I can pick white. I can pick whatever I like up here for color. I'm going to come back down over here and pick my black. And this isn't totally black. I might be over here where it is. So now I have a background. So now it's going to say save a copy again because I did some more work. So it saved it, it exported it, it did it. And this time it took the eraser and it called cutter, because it cut out the background and put the new background in. I said, okay, that looks pretty good. So I'm going to come down. Let's see. We're not going to replace the sky. We're not going to crop it. We already did it. Adjustments. No, I'm not going to. Let's see. What do we got here? Oh, I'm going to change a few little things here. And I usually start at the top and work my way down. I'll do a little contrast. I might put in a 10. Not going to do a lot of any of this stuff here. The blacks, I think I'll take down to -10. Shadows, -20. And you can go overboard and really mess them up if you want. The highlights, well, let's go to 15 on the highlights, 15 on the whites. So it just brightened it up a little bit. Didn't do a lot at all. We're gonna go back over here and make it fit. We're gonna do a little saturation, a little clarity. And clarity I found works very good at clarifying the image a little bit. I'm rather surprised how good a job it does with that. So that brightened it up and made some changes up there. And up top, underneath here, I can't reduce that down. There's one in, you can make this side by side. You can see what you did on one half the screen, and the other half would be the way that it was. So it gives you like a preview of what it is and what it isn't. You can go in between them. And that's up top underneath there. I'm sorry we can't see that, but trust me, it's there. And again, they got these tone curves. I don't do too much with them. You know, you can do different things and all that. And I'm not a big one on changing that, so I'm not going to do really anything there. But I've messed around with them before. It's all there. There's, you know, and they're very easy to use. It's just a dragger, you know, change your red, your green, your blues if the colors do look off. You can do it. And I'm going to do a little gradient over here. I want to make the center of this image a little bit brighter. So I'm going to zoom in. Let's go to say 50. Okay, so then we're going to come over here. So this is what it comes up as, and I put my cursor here. You can, if you pick it there, you can turn it this way, which is what I want to do. I want to pull down a little bit. I want to come out and make it a little bit bigger. Just down here. Okay. So that's good. Now what I want to do is turn up my highlights on there and my whites. Just to make the center a little bit brighter. So I'm going to go with that. Okay. I'll go back to my full screen. So it brightened up the inside a little bit there and did that. And then I'm going to do my sharpness a little bit, my noise reduction. I don't have any dehaze to worry about or anything. We're going to click on the perspective and just, it shows you that you can click on here and just do these. You know, pull it up, down, sideways, whatever you want. You can mess around with all of them and do a little bit. This is not an image for doing that. So, but it has that capability. And I'm not going to do any blur or anything else, but I will come down here. And I'm going to pick this nature one. Nature 4. And you can just see that it changes a little bit. Okay, I think that's good. Now, what this tool does not have is you cannot put a border around it. So I'm all done with this here. I'm going to come over here and I'm going to do a save on it. And so it's in there and it did all of them. I called it 5. I'm going to leave it at that. I'm just going to hit save. And you can save your quality. I always keep it at 100%. I don't change the size of anything. So that's kind of what it will do for you for that. Now, so that's what this software will do. And let's go back over here. I do have a couple other examples. I'm not going to go through and try to edit them because we're getting a little bit later here. I'd rather tell you about where you can get these and just how much they are, but I'm going to show you this. This is another image I took years ago, and this is what it started at. And this happened to be down in Hacks Neck, Virginia, which is down on the Chesapeake Bay. Not much around Hacks Neck, Virginia at all, outside of Bobtown and Coochieeville. And if you go a little further northeast, you'll come to Sickatague and Assateague. So I'll tell you that there wasn't much here, but it was a beautiful spot on there. This was taken with the camera, thousandth of a second, 600 millimeter on a tripod with a remote shutter for it. So it's taken looking at that. And this was an image that was submitted to the club. So then I had cropped it and zoomed in, and then went through and did some more cleaning it up a little bit to make it a little bit brighter and things. Replaced the background, replaced the sky in it, using the same software I just demoed there. And this was the final image that I believe I sent into the club afterwards. And then I had somebody was in on our website looking through my images, and they happened to call me and say, we'd like to get some pictures printed. We saw some of your images on the website. So I asked them which ones, so they told me. So I said, okay. And I said, I will send you some more besides them. And they ended up picking this image, as well as another image from Newport. I took of 3 trees a few years ago, and some other ones. I just sold them around Christmas time, 5 images they wanted. So that's where some of your images on the club, people go through and look at them. If they really want to get a hold of you and know you, they can get a hold of you and figure that out. So that was another image that I did with that same software and I sent it. So, okay, so let's see, let's get out of this. And okay, so for fast tone image viewer, what I did is I went into Google. I just typed in fast tone image viewer. For anybody who wants to know where to get it, that's how you search for it. And when you open it up, it comes up right here. Oh, let me back up. I'm sorry. If you scroll down, I did see this on there. People also ask, what is Fast Tone Image Viewer good for? It's my default image viewer and the fastest software I use for culling thousands of raw images. And the demo I just did, that's basically what I did, and that's what I use it for all the time. Because it converts them from RAW to JPEG, and I can also compress them and do some basic editing on it. So, and I recommend it for that. If you're looking for super top quality, it is not the best one out there, but for the price, it's not bad. On here, you see a lifetime license, $34.95. There is no monthly payments for it. It's not $300 or $400 or any of that. So you can see there's different ones here, $49, $19.99. Mine was a free download. They asked for a donation at the time. I believe I sent them $20 for it. I did this every time I refresh my computer every 4 or 5, 6 years. I go upload Fast Tone Image Viewer again. And it has made some changes over the year, but not many. So That's what it is. And if we come up here, we'll click on it, go right to where it is. There it is, and you can do your download. And if you go and do this, what you see is exactly what I see. And you can see up top, they got home, download, buy. I didn't click on buy. There you go. Okay, so it shows you. Volume discount. I'm not buying a volume, I buy one. So it shows you there. To me, that's not a lot to spend on a uh, image viewer and doing some minor editing on there. So that's what that software is. And the download, I believe you just hit download and it's gonna, I'm not gonna hit it because you probably got to say to start it, but that's what it does. And it's not a big giant size, 7.8 megabytes. So it's not gonna take up a ton of space or anything. So that's what Fast Image Viewer is. Fast Capture, never used it. Max View, I don't know what it is. I'd have to go read up on it myself, but anybody's welcome to do this, any of this stuff, a resizer. So that's what that is. And let's see. I also Googled InPixio and looked that up as well. And this just happened to open up and you can see there's Adobe Photoshop for 263. You can get it for many different prices. But in Pixio, I see one for 27. I see some other ones, but I believe I didn't pay that. I think I paid like 69. And what they tell you about it is AI, remove background, replace photo background. You can also do the sky, some of the stuff I showed you there. Easy to use photo editor. Okay, so you can download it. It's a free download if you want to try it. Then you can see the price. And I just have one more thing here. I'm going to go to my email because I get reminders from them about software updates all the time. I'm just going to go find it here. A new version is available. And so you go, okay, what is it? How much is it? I'm not going to upgrade. I think mine does enough for me for a few years. $49 was 319. I've never paid 319. I usually get it someplace for like $69 around that over the years. So I probably had it for 5 or 6 years. So it's easier software to use, I think, kind of user friendly. So that's my spiel on these two softwares. If anybody has any questions or comments, go ahead and ask. Okay.
These look like great packages, great option if you don't want to get sucked into having to pay every month for a Photoshop product.
Yeah, I'm actually rather cheap, so that's why I don't want to do that. But that's
It's
me.
a good way around it. These have a lot of power, I think.
Yeah. So, and I found it rather user friendly because it's hidden. I do love Photoshop elements, but you really have to know where to look for everything underneath the menus and stuff, and how to get in there. And you almost have to go buy the book or do some of the ones you can look up and find out some steps of how to get to things or how to do it. And the demos Frank gives are great. You can't beat them for what he does with that software, but it's remembering all the steps to get there, a lot more steps. This was not as many steps to do it, and I do like how it saves some of the images and stuff. So, okay, any other questions?
So, Bill, you've got quite an arsenal here of these two products plus Photoshop and Lightroom. And I know you use different ones for different situations, but could you kind of summarize when you use what for what?
I do not use Lightroom at all myself. I know it comes with Photoshop, I get it. Most everything I do, I go through And like I did in the first demo there, where I was showing you the fast stone, I use that for going through all my images to start with, and I will crop them, save them off as JPEGs. And I keep both, I always keep all my raw images, plus I keep all my JPEGs. And if I'm going to send to people, I do downsize them. I do all that in the fast stone. Then for editing them, like a lot of the ones I've sent to the club, I did quite a few with my Infixio lately for doing some of the images I have sent in. It had some winning images doing it. And for a lot of them I send in, I go back and I do some final tweaks in Photoshop elements because it does a little bit better job for ones I'm going to send in. Or if I'm going to be touching it up to get some prints made, because I was making some prints and people wanted 16 by 20 prints. I did clean them up and resize them to the bigger size in Photoshop because it does a better job of doing it. But for all my basic editing, I do use the fast stone. Then for some modifying, I do photos, the Infixio. But I find if you want to do stuff for like the camera club or do creative categories, you have better filters and things inside of Photoshop. And what I do with Photoshop is I usually just update it every Photoshop elements every 2 or 3 years. I do not have Photoshop by itself, which costs more. I'm not even sure the exact price, but I think it's like $400 or $500. I've never bought it. I'm very pleased with Elements for what I do. I'm not a professional photographer out there doing this. This is more of my hobby for what I like to do and stuff. So for that, and I probably take 20,000 images a year with my camera and go through. I got some images, like a lot of it. You go through when you're doing a hockey game. You go through. You got a lot of images. You cut guys' heads off. You cut their feet off. You got a bunch of crummy images. So you just want to get rid of them. You don't show them to people. You just get rid of them. So it's good for just deleting. So that's my spiel. If it opens up some opportunities for people and they want to try it, it's not going to cost you a lot of money to do it. Or if you're newer doing this stuff and you just want something to be able to go through and view them, instead of doing it on your cell phone or something. And if you put them on your computer and an external hard drive, you can edit as many times as you want. You're not hurting your original image, and you can go back and go to that raw one, call it up in Photoshop Elements and do your edit there if you like. I did some, they didn't come out good. I get rid of them altogether and go do it again. So you do it 5 or 6 times. So it's all what you end up liking. So, okay.
Thanks, Bill. This was fun.
Okay, good. I hope everybody enjoyed it and just give you some other options out there. That's all. I'm not saying they're the greatest in the world.
Well, thank you, Mr. Latournes. It's been excellent. And thank you, everyone, for coming and joining us tonight. And we hope to see you again all soon. Have a good evening.
Okay.